Hello and welcome to episode 158 of the Nerds at Large Gaming Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Darby Holland.
And I'm Jeff Mayo.
Jeff, it feels like it's been a long time, even though it's just only one extra day that we were waiting. I don't know. It just feels like
it's 2 days. It's Tuesday.
Oh yeah, it's 2 days. Time is rough. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, Dar. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good. Started a new job. Lots of new things going on. Don't have quite as much free time to pay attention to video games and stuff right now.
That's what you have me for.
That's what I have Jeff for. And I'm sure it'll calm down eventually. But right now, lots of new things. So Jeff just kind of vaguely talks about news headlines. I'm like, oh yeah, I know what that.
This episode will be a lot of me talking at Darby, explaining things.
Yes, I do have a new game to talk about that Jeff doesn't have, which is a rare thing for me to be the one bringing a new game. So that's something. That's good. But before we get into that, before we get into round 2 of our Xbox Bethesda discussion, which FYI, you should go to youtube.com/nerdsatlarge, where you can see round 1 of us talking about Xbox Bethesda the day of. But we're going to talk more about it today. And all the other stuff that we're going to get to. We have to start, of course, with our opening game.
Okay.
Where do you see yourself in 5 stars? I haven't done this in a few weeks because of the Character Hall of Fame and other things going on. But Jeff and listener, if you have forgotten, in this game, Jeff, you are Bowser's hiring manager. You are helping Bowser build up a staff of different characters and creatures to take down the plumber, the elusive plumber that he's never been able to
Mario
win. And it's interesting because Bowser has discovered the multiverse, and so you are being presented with applicants from all across any realm and dimension imaginable. So today, Jeff, you are going to be helping Bowser get his spy. You've done, so far you have made his grunts are the slimes from Dragon Quest, his military commander's King Mickey, the airship is the Great Fox, is that the name of it? The Great Fox from Star Fox? Something like that. Yeah, that one. Now you are creating his spy, and these are your 3 options. Are you ready, Jeffrey?
Okay.
Option number 1. Sly Cooper.
Okay.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. He was a very, very, very good applicant. But number 2, Snake from Metal Gear Solid.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a very tough competition. And then rounding out the trio is Agent 47.
Oh, okay.
From Hitman. These are your 3 applications for Bowser's stealth spy espionage man. Who are you going with, Jeff?
You say the same kind about Snake, but Sly seems too much for goody-goody in a way. I know he's a thief, but he has a strict code that I feel like the other 2 don't adhere to, at least not to the same level.
Yeah, that does make sense. I do love Sly, but he might. You could see him protesting against, going after Mario.
Yeah, like murder. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
I don't know. When as Sly, I've slammed people into the ground and they evaporate into dust. So, like, if that's not murder, I don't know.
So down to Snake and Agent 47. A plus for Agent 47 is, not that I know too much about the lore, it doesn't seem like he has questions. He just kind of silently goes and does whatever task he is.
He's a man with a barcode on the back of his head. I'm pretty sure there's some level of mindless, like, sleeper agent.
Yeah.
He might be an android. I don't know. I'm assuming he's an android.
But he also hasn't taken down a Metal Gear.
As far as I know, I have not played the Hitman games, but as far as I know, he is not. That would be a hell of a crossover, though.
Yeah. While Snake probably has more of a good side to him, I feel like he might also be one that, wouldn't have as many of the same problem as Sly does with the morality stuff.
Yeah, I would definitely. Yeah, I would agree with you. Sly is out because of morality. Snake is probably on the cusp. But.
And also, when comparing them, when they get caught, I feel like generally Snake's able to get out of things better
Than Agent 47 or than Sly?
I'm pretty much comparing Agent 47 and Snake at this point.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sly.
Well, when Agent 47's in my hands, he's completely incompetent, but I'm sure in someone else's hands.
He can go down pretty quick. Snake, not as much. And
that is true.
You think of all the things Snake has fought compared to Agent 47, all the craziness. Like,
he does have quite a resume.
Agent 47 may not know how to handle anything that's somewhat supernatural or weird. Snake does a bunch of weird shit. That's the norm.
It's just a Tuesday, yeah.
Like, someone says the word nanomachines. Anybody's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
They're like, oh yeah, nanomachines. I got those.
Yeah. So it sounds like Snake, and I definitely, I think I probably agree with that.
Yeah, plus I just want Snake to take orders from Commander King Mickey.
It sounds like we took this from like your actual dreams that you have at night. Probably.
Yeah.
All right, so it is decreed Bowser's espionage spy master is Solid Snake himself. You heard it here. All right, Jeff. Let's get going because
I like besides Mickey though, everything gets possible in Smash. Like this is something that gets up in Smash besides Mickey so far.
It is, yeah. I have put avenues to get away from Smash, but all roads lead back to Smash.
Okay.
All roads lead to Smash. Jeff
Derby.
I've been playing a new game this week. And it's a new game that I am quite fond of.
It's an old game, Dar. It's been out for 2 years.
Yeah, but to me and most of the internet, it's
1.0.
It just hit 1.0. A game doesn't exist until it hits 1.0. Everyone knows this.
Little no fat. Fortnite Battle Royale only just exists.
It doesn't exist.
No, I think it did get to 1.0.
Okay. I thought it got a chapter 2 without ever actually coming out. It's like that would be.
It did. That's technically how it did.
So stupid. It's all meaningless. Anyway, I played it for this. It's new to me, damn it.
Yeah, I know.
Hades is the newest game from Supergiant. Supergiant. I always Supermassive and Supergiant. I always confuse those. If you don't know, those are the guys that did Bastion, Transistor, and Pyre. They're pretty sure indie, but they're like have a very unique style to them. If you've seen their art style is pretty pervasive. It changes a little bit, but it's pretty much the same art style through all the games, which is not a bad thing. That art style was like so good. But every time they do a game, it's always kind of going to be, I mean, the storytelling and everything is always very interesting. There's certain hallmarks for them, like the narrator's always like a few things like that. But usually the combat is something like very off the wall, like completely unique to what they're doing. Like, Pyre was a freaking weird basketball game with like RPG elements. It was crazy. And it's weird. Hades, in some ways, is kind of their safest, or like their game that's most like a genre.
Yeah, most quote unquote normal.
Right. It's like it's a roguelike, and it is the closest to just fitting into a roguelike that any of their games have done. Which on the surface you would worry that it's like, okay, so is this just not going to feel as unique and everything? But once I got in here, I'm like, no, they like took that genre, but they're like, okay, we have this framework. Now let's just like pack this game full with just so many different avenues that you can go down gameplay wise. We're going to completely craft the story around being a roguelike, which is just very interesting. And like, I don't know, just all the way around the board from like every aspect of this game, I am so impressed.
Nice. With
all of it.
Most people are like, for example, obviously getting great reviews. Michael Huber from Easy Allies, I saw, watched a little bit of that, but didn't want to see too much. Gave it a 9.5.
Yeah, I can see that for right now, which I just got to the 3rd level this last time. That's as far as I've gone. I don't know how many levels there are, honestly. But yeah, from what I've played, I have never played a roguelike before. I've only just heard people talk about it. And I was worried about how I'd feel about it, because obviously in a roguelike, you always die. When you die, you always go back to the beginning, and it's kind of you're like running uphill, and every single time you can go a little bit further and then you fall back down. You can go a little bit further and then you fall back down. And I thought that might get old, and I think probably in the hands of lesser developers it would get old, but the variety that you have in this game with the different weapons that you can choose, and you unlock them at a pretty steady clip, but it becomes a completely different game depending on what weapon you choose, because for a lot of it, I mean, you start out with just like kind of a simple sword, but then you quickly get a bow and arrow, and when you switch to the bow and arrow, it suddenly becomes this kind of like long range. You're just like dodging around and like shooting people from afar, but if you get like caught up close, you're a lot like worse off. And then I've been using this Captain America shield, which is you can like throw the shield and it bounces off people and comes back to you, and then you can also like bash them with it. And just the mobility that you do in this game, when especially the shield, I think is like the most chaotic one, but I like it a lot. When you watch someone play this game, even like me, who's not very good at it, it looks like I know what I'm doing, because just dodging around. It's like my sister watched me play a little bit of it when we were on vacation over the weekend, and yeah, she was like, "What the hell is going on the screen?" Because it looks like so much on the screen at one time. But I think it's a very good compliment to this game that, like, even with how complex the combat actually is and challenging it is, it never felt cheap, or like I never got completely lost in the chaos. It was like I had to focus, but it was, you know what I mean? It just like clicked very quickly. The combat did.
Yes. Something I'm curious about as someone who's just mainly seen trailers for this and hearing some people talk about it. So when it's like a roguelike and you say it's a little different, like, is it always you die and you have to start and do everything again?
Yes, I didn't know. I thought going in there was going to be some checkpoints. It does not appear like there's checkpoints at all. Which, again, like, I was kind of hesitant about, and who knows, when I get to the end, I might be like really tired of having to go through the first bosses and stuff again. Like, I definitely could still get to that point. But so far, as of right now, just if I get bored with like having to fight the first two areas too many times, I'll just switch to a different weapon, and it feels very different, So far for me, I've been enjoying that, even though you are like, I fought the first boss many times. The second boss I just beat, but I fought multiple times too. Yeah. But I mean, you get the satisfying feeling of like this last run when I made it all the way to the third level. I beat that first boss in like 20 seconds. Nice. And I'm like, God, I remember when she beat me like so many times. And it's like I remember it was such a struggle to get past her, and then now I'm like boom, 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 dead. I'm like, man, yeah, let's go. Fuck you. It's like, yeah, let's go. And something that's so interesting, even with that repetition, like I have never, every single time I die and go back to the bottom or whatever, because the whole theme of the whole like story around this game is that it's Greek mythology and you are Hades' son in hell, and you're trying to break out of hell to get to the Olympios, and like the Olympian gods are trying to help you out, get out of there. But it's like very kind of like funny and everything, where like Hades is your father and he's just like sitting there doing paperwork, and he's like, oh, my like asshole son is back again, hey. It's just,
and then you pet Cerberus.
Yeah, and Cerberus is adorable, but all the people, it's like very funny because you're basically just like an angsty teenage son who's like, fuck you, dad, I'm going, I'm breaking you out of hell, I'm getting out of here. And it strikes the balance of like actually interesting, but also like really funny. Like the dialogue is really, really good. And every single time you die, there is new dialogue for everyone. And they'll comment on like, oh, you got killed by such and such. It's, it's like it feels very real in that sense. And you get this kind of relationship. Like the first boss that you fight every time is she is like one of Hades' people, and you see her down in the like lounge area a lot, and you'll end up just talking to her like after she beats you, and she'll like make fun of you for losing and stuff like that. It's just like, it's cool, you know, like you really dying legitimately doesn't feel as bad because I'm legitimately interested in what everyone in the
you get rewarded with dialogue options
right.
in a way.
Right. And like there's been like surprise story beats. Like I go like, okay, I'm gonna go on a new run, and it's like does a flashback or something. And I'm like, oh, okay. Interesting. It's like wasn't expecting something. I wasn't expecting like actual like lore story moments in here, and they'll kind of come unexpectedly, which is pretty cool. And then the other thing I definitely have to point out is the Olympian gods, like the strategy for actually going on a run is really interesting, because you'll get different boons from the gods, the Olympian gods, and you'll learn after a while like each one of them does different things. Like Aphrodite, her like thing is when you attack people, it inflicts weak on, and I don't know why I started with this one, I don't really like it that much, but it inflicts weak on people so their attacks do less. Or there's like Zeus can get like chain lightning on your attack, so you attack them and the like lightning will go out on everyone else. And there's a bunch of like there's a bunch of Olympian gods and they all have different ones. Like Hermes makes you go a lot faster and everything. So you can there's an element of you choosing what kind of build you want when you're going through a game, because a lot of times when you go from one chamber to the next, you'll see two different icons for doors, and you can choose. You eventually learn, oh, that's Aphrodite's icon, that's Hermes' icon, or whatever. So you can choose like I want to go this way to get that one. So some of them you can kind of choose a path to go down, but then there's also other boons that will just get random and you don't know. So it's a cool mix of strategy, but like the game kind of forces you to, you have a little bit of the luck of the draw, which you kind of want. You kind of want that nice balance between those two things. But it's good because I've definitely heard of some people like playing Dead Cells. This was the one I've probably heard the most people talk about, like a modern roguelike. And people talked about like some runs. It's like, all right, well, this is just a dead run. I got like really shitty things. I've never felt that way about Hades in this. Like every run I feel like is good in its own way. Even if it's not my preferred play style, it's still like interesting and I still enjoy playing it. But I definitely, like this last time, I had this build where I'm like, God, I don't want to die because this is just so good. I was like, this build is so damn good. And I don't know, I'm hooked, dude. I am so hooked.
I definitely want to give it a shot or try to pick it up. Just trying to find time to fit it into all this. But now would be the time before all the craziness happens.
It's a hard game. It might take me a while to beat because it's, you got to be able to string together that run all the way. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure once you've unlocked everything, like it obviously inherently gets easier, probably as it goes because you're like getting more powers. But you still have to be able to do everything. And I've certainly even after I got past the first boss, I could still die to her and runs after that. It wasn't like I beat her so she's always easy after that. It was like, no, sometimes I limped into her boss chamber and I'm like, well, here we go. Very fun game. Excited to talk about it more. Easy up there on, it's gonna be high up on my game of the year list. It's gonna be very interesting for me to compare this and Ori because they're so different. But like this combat system is like one of my favorite combat systems like ever. It's just really, it's so polished. It's just so, you can tell it's been in early access and they hammered things out because like it just seems like a very polished game.
Nice.
Yep. Speaking of very polished games,
you know it. JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, Eyes of Heaven. Yeah. So yeah, I got a JoJo game. Little older one. 2016, this game? 2016, I want to say.
Yeah.
The whole... Okay. My mom was calling me. I just asked her what was up, and I saw what she was saying, and it related to the event that's happening right now.
Alex just said he's dying, so...
Okay. Nice.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, JoJo.
Let's think about other things.
Let's think about positive.
Let's think about JoJo. The best thing you can think about.
Yes. So yeah, 3D arena platformer or fighter, whatever, arena fighter, like most of these things. A little different from what I could tell though. You can't do like local co-op or versus matches, which is weird.
Yeah, that sucks.
But I mentioned to you looking at it, I haven't done my research to see, but it might be because I didn't have a second controller connected. Some games just won't have that option up if you. So I don't know.
No. But we obviously didn't play that mode anyway. What did you think about your single player experience?
Yeah, mess around a little with the story mode. Stopping for right now so I can, I guess, read the manga so I don't get spoiled.
Yeah.
Did a couple chapters based on the parts I have seen, and pretty much this is a big what if crossover story, which it starts out you're after part 3, and everyone's like, oh, the adventure is done, and then shit's going on. It's like some of the friends that died came up. It's like, wait, you're dead. It's like, haha, I'm alive, and I'm gonna have to defeat you for my master because they're brainwashed or whatever you do. Then people from other parts come out, save them. It's like, okay, you're part of our team now. You're dead, but you're part of our team.
So it's just as dumb as you would expect.
Yes. Yeah. But it's JoJo, so it's fun. Yeah. But as far as the actual combat thing, I'm actually kind of having fun with it once I kind of realized what all the buttons were doing and all that. Because when you were in there and I was messing around, I was like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what I'm doing. But once I did that, I was like, okay, I'm at least understanding what's going on better.
Yeah.
So far, again, I've only touched a fraction of the roster. I think they're doing I think this game does a decent job compared to what they could do as far as using the unique stand abilities. Like for Dio, you can't stop time like you do it. Literally everyone else is frozen. You're moving around like
yeah.
And for another one, another character, their power is like skipping time. You literally you don't stop time per se, but you're pretty much invisible and move around and can fuck with people.
Oh yeah.
And all that kind of stuff. And one thing I've found, like, okay, I'm curious to see what they do for other stands now, is there's this one guy who's blind whose stand is like a little water liquidy gooey hand thing that he just sends in to do the fighting while he's kind of hidden away. So what he does, he sits down, and you control the hand and it's remote, but the people can go and attack your body.
All right.
And you can switch back and stuff. It's like, okay, they do crazy shit like that. Let's do it. Yeah.
Do you feel like they captured the wackiness of JoJo in a fighting game, or does it feel kind of like limited?
I feel like these kind of games will suit better as a 2D fighting game, just straight up 2D.
Oh, I would much prefer that.
Yeah, I think that'd be much better. I think they do a pretty good job. The style of it's really well done from what I've seen and all that.
Yeah,
and just some other things like, okay, these guys are obviously fans of JoJo. That's in the series as a whole.
It's a good thing to feel.
They have fun, and they have everyone has super moves or whatever. It's a 2-on-2 fighting game. You can do your super attack where each of the characters do their unique super attacks, or if you have certain combinations, you can have special attacks that are unique to them when them working together. The example is Dio and Giorno.
Yeah, I did see some of that.
Yeah, which is fun.
Yeah,
I'm always up for that shit.
Mm-hmm. That is cool. It's the wacky lore things that wouldn't actually happen.
Yep. And it's so far in the story mode, just kind of fun little, between people of different parts, how they react to each other, and people in one part meeting a younger version of someone they met in their part, but the younger one's from a previous part.
Yeah,
it's kind of fun. It's like, wait, I think I know. Oh, you're the turtle guy.
That's
like, what?
That's awesome.
That was me.
And Iggy's playable.
Iggy is
so it's
playable.
10 out of 10.
Iggy is indeed playable, and they got a very interesting skin for him. I went for the thing. They have a bunch of skins.
Nice.
Some of them are just color swaps to reference different things, like the actual manga colors and stuff. And then there's some really cool ones. Iggy's Iggy's only one is to match its manga design because he looks different.
Okay. Interesting. Cool.
Man, what I had to say about this game. Probably not one may not bring back. Who knows? We'll see.
But it was fun. Like, you've been talking about playing this game for a long time, and it sounds like it was fun enough to justify, having it to play every now and then.
Yep, and I'm going to be wary of it for a little bit until I can see more of those parts.
Yeah, that would suck. That would suck to get spoiled in a dumb crossover fighting game.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Speaking of Japanese craziness.
Yep, I finished the game.
This is a little more highbrow, high art Japanese craziness.
Yes. I have finished Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition.
Done.
The main game. Well, I still got the Futures Connected epilogue bonus story thing to finish. I started that though, so I can talk about that as well. But let's talk about the ending of Xenoblade. Craziness.
It was already
Absolute
crazy
madness.
for us. And then it went on further from that. I think I already asked you about how much longer after that was it?
It was a couple hours. I still had a couple more places to go. I think I mentioned it to you, like even on the podcast, about I went to an area like inside the thing's chest. And I could like see its heart like through a screen. It's like, I bet I go there. I went there.
Nice. Of course you did.
Of course.
You gotta go to the heart.
Yeah. You know, and you're just doing regular anime things. Fighting giant monsters, maybe kill a god or two, you know.
Of course. But like I said, when I was watching, it was like what you're doing on the screen here. If you just like talked about what you're doing, it's like, yeah, it sounds like more typical JRPG, you know, ending type stuff. But I definitely, again, just from the pieces I watched, it felt more unique than it sounded. You know, it felt less cringy than it sounded. Too.
Yeah, like a crazy plot twist, which I kind of pretty much knew most of because I play Xenoblade 2. And it was, you know, still very good, very well presented and all that. And it's like, oh yeah, and you know, some new information I didn't get because I didn't see one. It's like, oh okay, that's how all this kind of connects and stuff. And that was all very neat. And a bunch of crazy shit happened that leaves you like, hey, what's up with this world? And we get that with Futures Connected, which I started. You're following Shulk and Malia. And it's pretty much just those two as far as the main party goes. Okay. For people who don't know this, like what's kind of happened with this DLC got people excited is you could see in the original Xenoblade like the Bionis' shoulder, and it's like, well, let's say something we could go to, but you're not letting us. What up with that? So they're letting you do it here. Yeah, nice. Like they made this whole area.
So this is something they made now in the modern times, like completely. So is it still in the same engine and like combat system as the rest of the game and everything?
Something that's kind of disappointing. They made it sound like when they announced it's going to be a new combat system. It's pretty much the same.
Okay.
It sounds like they're hinting at the tutorials. We're hinting at that there's going to be a couple different things added to it, but the base of it's pretty much the same. Shulk and Melia's moves are exactly the same. Okay. And also what I'm blanking on their names because I'm not that far in. Ricky, you know Ricky. Yeah. His children are your other two party members in here, and they're awesome so far. Nice. It's like, okay, well, at least I get these two move sets. No, they're literally copy and paste from two of your other party members. Shulk even says, "Oh, fighting you's like fighting with Ryan and Charla." Oh god! It's like, okay. Then I saw their moves like, oh, they got cute names, but they're the exact same abilities.
So maybe a little lower effort than expected.
At least as far as that
from
goes.
The combat.
But, yeah. But obviously the area is completely new. Some new monsters and all that. A new story. Fun.
It is interesting to make a whole new part within your like revamp, you know, HDified version of an old game.
Yeah, and then to bring back the old.
That's what I didn't know if it was just going to be a completely new like look because it's not, you know, because the first one is still like the base game is still somewhere in the DNA of what you played, you know, obviously. So I didn't know with this, but I'm excited to see how excited you are about the lore implications. I don't know how people received the DLC, but
I tried to ignore it because Futures Connect makes me think there's some connection to 2, but I want to see for myself how much, if at all, how that.
Overall, how like I know you haven't sat with it too long, but I mean, where do you think Xenoblade is ramping up in your like just as a JRPG, just in general, like how high are we talking about your feelings on this thing? Like,
I don't know how.
Is it a great Jeff?
So it's my favorite Xenoblade, and I think it is one of my favorite JRPGs of all time.
Nice.
It's so good. It ramps up and just kept me amazed just with the the settings and stuff, the places I was actually exploring, and the story was fun and interesting and madness throughout, and not in a completely. I mean, it's anime, but not like anime in a way. Like even 2 got some type, but I still love 2.
Yeah,
I think that's also a thing that does puts it above 2 for me. Like 2 was painfully anime with the way it depicts women and stuff in ways. Not to say that's not there to a point in this one, but it's a lot more like subdue and that kind of stuff.
Seemed like night and day just from me like watching you play both.
Yeah. So that was a plus and everything, and yeah. I just think overall, like, I feel like I was more impressed with the environments in 1 than I was in 2.
Which is weird, but yeah. I agree from just watching too.
Mm-hmm. But finishing this game, and now I played all the main Xenoblade games. I need to play Futures Connect to see how that goes. I still need to play it's pretty much a spin-off game, Xenoblade 2 spin-off game, prequel game. Still need to play that, but Monolith Software masters of actually building a world.
Yes,
like the actual world design and all that kind of stuff itself. That
100%.
Western or Japanese, not really many developers match them in my eyes.
I agree. I think this is a game I would probably enjoy if I really actually sat down with and everything.
Yep.
Just from
and again, I'm so happy like as playing it, like after now finishing it and knowing what I know of 1, all the main complaints I would have, the dumb outfits the characters be in with the armor and stuff, the way it looks and all that, and the tediousness of the side missions, all that were pretty much fixed, at least to make me happy in this game. So I'm glad first time playing this game was this, because again, side missions weren't changed, like the actual missions and stuff, so they're still finding stuff and all that kind of stuff, but just the way it's set up in this, it just makes it like more. You're just kind of doing the stuff as you play through the game instead of being more tedious.
It really does feel like the quality of life stuff is just like making this game what it should have been originally. Because it really does seem like you're taking a good game and making it a bad game if you play the original, basically. You know what I mean? It's just like I doubt you would be nearly as high. You wouldn't be done with it, and I doubt you'd be nearly as high on it playing it in 2020 if you were playing the original version. Because as you saw in How Long to Beat, there's no additional content, but playing the original takes like freaking 50 hours more, some shit like that.
Yeah, depending on what level, it is like a significant amount of time, and it's insane. So I mean, this is one of the definitive editions where the stuff they change, no one can look at it like, oh, that's a bad change. Like I've seen some people complain about the art style, not liking it as much, the visuals and stuff. I'm like, you're crazy.
Yeah, but I say versus the original, dudes.
Yeah, because it looks more anime now. So the realistic look.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I have 2 to compare to, but it seems pretty good to me.
Xenoblade, great game.
Great game.
It's a jet seal of approval.
All right, Jeffrey, let's get into some news. Hit me with the news jingle.
Jingle, jingle, jingle.
We got a biggin'. To start off with, once again, make sure you go to our YouTube channel to see our first initial takes on this. We'll probably won't have quite as big of a discussion this time around, but
I hope not.
Yeah, it'll be a long podcast if we do. But so this will be more of abbreviated, but we also have some new developments to talk about.
Yeah, so pretty much Xbox bought Bethesda / ZeniMax. This week old news, craziness, $7.5 billion.
Still a week later, still pretty wild. Yeah. So that hasn't really gotten not wild, it's still pretty wild.
Yep, and just for some reason, living under a rock, big things. So all that shit's going on. Bethesda games are becoming the Game Pass, starting with Doom Eternal, like 2 days from now, which has me excited. Might give that a try.
It's a big game.
It's a big game.
Pass.
Yes. Deathloop and Ghostwire exclusivity contracts will stay intact.
So bizarre.
Yeah, but Microsoft continuing like, okay, all the deals you guys made before we bought you, they're still in place. All that kind of stuff. Which good on them. It may not be out of their hands. Who knows? That's a lot of the big stuff. And we just talked about what this means for Bethesda, Microsoft. All that kind of stuff. I guess how it affects the Sony ponies.
Yeah, and we talked about most of this. I mean, it's just a bizarre thing. There's a lot of things that if you just take one thing out of context and analyze it, it just seems bizarre. Like the Ghostwire and Deathloop, just the fact that Microsoft is going to be publishing Sony exclusive games.
Yeah.
It's a bizarre world we live in, but I also think that just kind of shows you, like we said in the video, just how fast this deal was made and just how like not really planned out and really far in advance this was.
We talked, for example, Imran Khan was saying he heard that up to a couple months ago, he was hearing they were talking about Sony and Bethesda Starfield exclusivity.
Yeah. Which the Microsoft being able to move that quickly on this, I mean, especially now the more I think about it, I think that really is a very clear indication that like Phil Spencer has a lot of power and trust at Microsoft,
yeah,
to where he's able to like have the authority to like make a company as big as Microsoft move and spend this kind of money that quickly. You know, that has to be a Phil Spencer and the Xbox like game division led thing. Mm-hmm. And you would think $7.5 billion, like normally that would be probably like what, a year or 2 years of deliberations and negotiations to like make that happen. But the fact that could happen that soon, makes me think that Microsoft is like, all right, Phil, we're going to give you a lot of money to go buy studios. Like he has a lot of leeway, which means this might not be the last of it, as they said. said.
I guess we can do this so we can talk as a whole.
Yeah.
All the stuff I'm talking about is from two different things. It comes from Joe Scrabbles, and this is kind of me just reading the stuff of Microsoft people talking to CNET. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella has said the company will continue considering buying video game companies where it makes sense.
Yeah. A little scary.
Yeah.
I won't lie and say there's not some trepidation.
Just, for people who didn't listen to our conversation yesterday, we're saying, like, generally, Daria had mixed feelings on this, but we kind of agreed, no matter how we felt, we wanted this to be the last big purchase from Microsoft. Like, if they got a couple more studios at the level like Double Fine or Ninja Theory, like in similar situations to those studios, fine, sure, whatever.
Yeah. Even something like, I've been thinking like, even like IO.
Yeah.
Could say I know they just got independent, but something like that could be cool for Hitman. But yeah, it's just in general, like we said in that video, this is not a move Sony could do. Like people talk about like Sony going to do now, which they're
going to buy Capcom.
I don't think is necessarily like this bidding war is going to happen. But I mean, the fact of the matter is, the $7.5 billion move is just not something that's in the cards. If
Sony really tries this, it's not Microsoft necessarily starting a bidding war. If Sony tries to one of, well, yeah, like you're going to lose that race with Microsoft,
right? I mean. And this has been the thing all along. Like Sony, we think of Sony being this big powerhouse because they are. They've been the dominant party in the video game space. But like Microsoft always, it was like if Microsoft wanted to this whole time, they could shift their weight towards video games and crush Sony if they want in a lot of ways. Not completely in totality, but they can do things like this. This was like they have nuclear weapons. Sony doesn't. So that's basically what's going on here. It's like things got heated up enough to where we're like, all right, fuck it, bomb. So we're gonna do this.
Well, as we talked about when we were originally discussing this, timing of it, potentially it was Microsoft was looking into Warner Brothers, and they might have had a better chance of that than we were initially talking about, but that fell through. So like, okay, Bethesda, you're ours now.
Yeah, I really think that's true. I really think that was happening, because it's obviously someone was trying to buy them, or someone wanted to buy them.
Yeah, and I think just kind of think about it and hearing other people that be more in the know, talk and just how quick this happened. You know, we're talking about like Microsoft. I think it's very telling for Bethesda as well. I know that's an ungodly amount of money, but it's still getting bought out or whatever.
Yeah.
So just with some people talking about with Bethesda's failures, and we've talked about them commercially with these games. They've been received very well critically, but commercially have not sold much, especially recently. It makes sense that after all that failures, like one more could really have been bad for them.
No, yeah, I think this was kind of probably the like shining, angelic light comes down. It's like this is I mean, I don't know. That makes it sound like I'm sure there was some disappointment in the thought of like, we're not going to be independent anymore.
But they'll be, according to Phil Spencer, semi-independent.
Yeah, but we'll get to that a little bit more in a little bit. I definitely want to talk about that more. But I think people underrate how a lot of media people underrate how bad things were going at Bethesda, because with just between two Dishonoreds, the Wolfenstein and Prey and Fallout 76. I mean, there's there were quite
Evil Within.
Yeah, that's a lot of AAA games with big budgets and big marketing. Those are like their E3 showcases a lot of times, and not a single one of those games came close to its projections. And I know obviously Skyrim's going to sell until the end of time, but that's a lot of AAA misses in a row. That's video game companies already work on way thinner margins than you think they do. Probably a lot of them.
Yeah.
And that's just...
And like we're talking about, as far as the hits, the only one they've, unless I'm really forgetting something, they've really had since Fallout 4 is the Doom games.
Yeah, no, that's it. Those are really it. That's absolutely it. But,
and I guess the Elder Scrolls.
Luckily for Bethesda, the strength of the potential of their IP is enough for them to be worth $7.5 billion.
Yeah.
And Microsoft is probably okay with buying something that's not necessarily great right now because they just want to have the IP to work with going into the future. And we were already excited for their slate of developers and what they were working on, but now it was always a few years away. And even Bethesda stuff, they have Ghostwire and Deathloop, which aren't even coming to Xbox at first, but they have that in the immediate future. But a lot of what we're excited about for Bethesda will be Starfield, Elder Scrolls, and stuff like that. But it suddenly makes it so in a few years when we get that payoff, Microsoft's going to be in a Sony-like spot where they have at least 2 games a year, big games a year, which has not been the case for quite a while. They had Gears, and then a long time before that, it's been very spread out. And
it's been weird though this year. I get what you're saying with the big games. They released a lot of games this year. They had 3 or 4 last month or something.
What did they have last month?
I just can't remember. I just saw people talking about. I think I got Wasteland.
Wasteland.
Somebody Grounded technically came out then.
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
Well, Grounded was basically a demo, but yeah.
So they've had stuff come out. Obviously, it's not the big hits, but they've been doing well.
That's true. That is certainly true. I mean, we are definitely starting to see we're still...
and I think that's Microsoft, as far as the way Microsoft's moving forward, is a good fit for Bethesda, as we talked about. The games critically have been received very well overall. Just again commercially, but Game Pass has been shown to help, and we'll get more those games in people's hands because they're part of Microsoft. All those games will now be in Game Pass day one.
Yeah. And I'm sure games like Prey and Evil Within and Dishonored, they really should be promoting those on the front page of Game Pass to be because
they will.
all 3 of those games are games that me and you were in the same boat of I hear really good things. I just can never justify paying $60 for it or whatever. But hey, it's right there, and I don't have anything to play right now. So let's just give it a try. I'd be
I've been saying that for Bethesda games for years. I don't think if I have actually played a Bethesda game, I don't think I have.
I can't think of one.
So
Evil Within definitely seems like it would be up your alley.
Oh yeah, definitely. Add that to Game Pass. I'll play those.
Yeah.
And you'll get there somewhere. I was just saying, I will probably try Doom Eternal because it comes out in 2 days. I don't have big stuff coming out into November.
Yeah.
And I've been interested in trying out Doom.
And just a good thing about Game Pass, and especially now that Bethesda there, it'll be there. It'll be there a year from now. Doom Eternal will still, all those games will still just be there.
Yeah, I don't have to worry about those going away.
Yeah. It is nice. It is.
And I also kind of like, as far as the Doom Eternal thing, while we know technically the deal won't go through until like early to mid next year, they're kind of acting like, oh, no, we're just a part of Microsoft, and that's how we're moving forward. That's where Game Pass.
They're certainly operating like there's really no chance of the deal falling through. Yeah. They're operating like, our lawyers will hammer out the things, but do all the paperwork, but we're gonna go ahead and start acting like an Xbox studio, basically.
Yeah. Which is good for us as far as Game Pass goes.
Good for marketing, obviously, with Xbox going into the next generation.
But again, it's going to be weird because Bethesda's next two big games, Deathloop and Ghostwire, will be on PlayStation. But I should have looked this stuff up because I think I mentioned this last time. I think they're supposed to come to PC at the same time, or at least Deathloop is, I think, which is good, hopefully for us, because that means maybe it'll be on PC Game Pass Day 1.
I hope, yeah.
Because that'd be good for us, because we're both interested in
it
Deathloop.
Might depend on the whatever deal, that might be part of the deal, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, but if those are, we said we were interested in those games,
it's weird how many Bethesda games fall into that category of I'm interested but not $60 interested. Mm-hmm. So Game Pass is a pretty good fit for it.
Yep.
I do want to, before we move on, I do want to briefly touch on the whole Xbox giving all these studios freedom thing, which, I want to commend Xbox, because I do think, especially in comparison to a lot of other studios like EA, Activision, list any number of big studios here, they have been very open. This whole Phil Spencer led coalition has had a very we're going to let our developers do whatever they want to do mindset, which has been very good. I mean, you've heard Tim Schafer talk about Psychonauts has just materially become a better game because of Xbox's resources, and it's just resources. It's not we're mandating anything. It's just, here's more money and time. Go nuts.
Yeah, I talk about when Psychonauts today. It's at the time, Tim was like, yeah, we had a bunch of boss fights that we canned, but now we just put them back at the game because we have money now. I'm like, go for it.
That is undeniably dope and awesome. I just want to I don't want to be the sourpuss, but I just want everyone to remember the thing that I say all the time on this show: never completely trust corporations, because they are corporations. And while right now, Phil Spencer and his team is being very open about this, you don't know who's going to be in charge in 10 years. Phil Spencer might be long gone and someone else can jump in, and it's Microsoft. Video games are far from being the main thing they do, and things could shift. They could be Double Fine, Phil Spencer was really cool with you making all these artsy games, but bills come, you're low on this spreadsheet, so we need you to start changing some things.
Tim,
there's no guarantee that the way they operate now is the way they're always going to be operating. And that's kind of the risk reward of being owned by a massive corporation. They could shift their weight and crush you.
Yeah, there's a fear, and I'm sure that's something that these studios all thought. But I guess that's still a possibility for a lot of these studios. I know we're talking about Bethesda here, and we could be less worried about Bethesda as a whole. Maybe some of the smaller studios like Tango or something, maybe we can worry a little more.
Yeah, I would say they fall.
What I was getting at,
it's Bethesda Game Studios.
Yeah, what I was getting at is, at least now for those studios, I'm sure that's something they weighed when talking about the purchasing. Is this gives them at least stability for a couple years, guaranteed.
Yeah,
and everything. So
in the short term, it's nothing but good.
Yeah,
it's nothing but good for everyone. And I mean, this is not a uniquely Microsoft thing. There's all kind of you have to run the risk, the risk reward of it, because there's also a lot of these indie studios have to waste a lot of time doing their own marketing and all this stuff that they're just a couple guys who want to make games. They don't know how to market stuff. They don't know how to do all this, but they're having to spend time doing this and making mistakes all the time because they don't know what they're doing, and it just does make it a lot easier when you can just do this. But even in Easy Allies, Blood brought up that even after Double Fine got bought, he's still been talking to the same PR people the whole time. Like, it didn't shift over to Xbox people. It's just like the people he's talking to are still the same people he's talking to, which I think that's a pretty good sign. I mean, like, most of the time that's not how that would go. Most of the time it'd be like, okay, you are Xbox now. He's like this, but it's like Xbox really is just letting these studios
and just kind of like with Double Fine's Day of the Devs, it's always been like in association with Double Fine, not Microsoft.
Yeah. And I think that you're going to see an element of that with like the Bethesda name, and like not Bethesda Game Studios, Bethesda being a name for all of this group of studios. Even though that technically doesn't mean anything anymore because they're all just under Xbox, I do think they're going to try keep that branding going so that like 2 or 3 years from now, we still talk about like id being a Bethesda game, or id being a Bethesda studio, or Doom being a Bethesda game, or something like that. Like, I think Xbox is gonna want to like foster that brand name, even if the brand name technically doesn't mean anything.
Man, like when a good year happens, Microsoft press conferences are gonna be dope. Definitely got studios to fill that stuff.
Third parties, and then all their big old suite. Can't wait for Elder Scrolls in 10 years.
Yeah. Again, like it's so like a bright side of this acquisition is the fact there'll be no more Bethesda press conferences. It's just all going to be in Microsoft.
We did it. Killed them.
Yep.
Last thing, will Skyrim be on the PS5? Just yes or no?
No.
Okay. Moving on.
Unless for some reason, potentially, it's a weird thing. It was technically announced before. I don't think so.
I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
I'm going to say yes. But Elder Scrolls 6, I'm going to say no.
Oh, you said... Yeah, probably Skyrim.
Okay.
You said that just because when everyone talks about it, they're talking about Elder Scrolls. I was thinking Elder Scrolls 6.
I just feel like people were saying, is PS5 going to be like the only console that Skyrim doesn't come to?
That'd be funny. If it was on Switch and not PS5.
Just the only electronic device that Skyrim doesn't come to.
Hey, with backwards compatibility, I guess it can still be on it.
Yeah.
So. A new challenger has entered the fray battle, whatever you want to say. This comes from Eli Blumenthal from CNET. Amazon is getting into gaming. That part's old. During Amazon's big device announcement event on Thursday, the internet giant unveiled Luna. It's a cloud-based video game streaming service for Fire TV, phones, tablets, and computers that rivals Microsoft's xCloud and Google Stadia. Ooh, doesn't want to rival Stadia. A Luna Plus subscription will cost $5.99 per month as part of an invite-only early access program. Controller designed for the service will also be sold with early access pricing at $50. Though gamers will also be able to use an Xbox One or PS4 controller, as well as the mouse and keyboard to play. It goes into what you can play it as. Running on Amazon's AWS service, games can stream up to 1080p resolution, 60 frames per second at launch, with 4K support teased as coming soon. Though a full list of titles wasn't immediately available, the company says the games available in early access period will include Control, RE7, Grid, Yooka-Laylee and Impossible Lair, and Brothers Tale of Two Sons. Ubisoft will be among the early notable publishers on the platform, including bringing Assassin's Creed Valhalla to Luna, although no timeline was given for when its games would arrive beyond, again, coming soon. And I'll just read this paragraph. Twitch, the popular game-focused video streaming website that Amazon bought in 2014, will be integrated into Luna to allow streamers to broadcast while playing. Amazon says that those watching Twitch streams who also subscribe to a service will be able to go right from watching Twitch to instantly playing on Luna.
I mean, I'll be honest, it already sounds like they're coming out the gate with more of the things you would want to see than Stadia.
So, a big thing here that instantly makes it better sounding than Stadia to me is the fact this is a subscription. You pay that and then you play those games. Again, like, problem with Stadia is still right now, they're old games. But, still. Like, it's like if this works, kind of like another Game Pass type thing.
They're old games, and they're games that you have to, like, individually decide, like, I'm going to buy this game for Stadia, you know, like,
spend this money. Be full price.
Yeah, spend this probably full price money for Stadia, And then, like, what if it doesn't really work that well, or it's not super reliable, or whatever? It's like, it's just, again, it's a risky, like, I don't know about this, so I'm never, ever, 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 ever going to actually put my $60 on Stadia when I'm locked in on Stadia and it might not run that well when I could just buy it on PC. I'm just never going to make that decision or whatever. Not saying that, obviously, this is another subscription service. Not something I'm probably going to do right away, but if I hear really good things about it, and eventually, like, I guess if I have more disposable income or something, I could see a realm down the line where it's like, okay, if it's just like fucking $5 a month and I get like these, you know, like, I don't know, sure, why not? You know, so I could at least see it, or I could see more, even if I'm not the one, I could see more people going down this route than...
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what they do for future Twitch integration. The Twitch integration thing they have on here doesn't sound that exciting to me. Yeah. It's just like, click here to play the game the guy's playing now. It's like, okay, you saved me a couple clicks. Cool. It sounds more like this is how you're using the...
You're gotta be efficient, Jeff. Gotta get them seconds.
No, it was more like people will be sponsored by Twitch/Amazon for this stuff. Like, I'm playing this game on Luna, and you can click this button right here to play it right now.
It's like, no one's doing that.
Yeah. I think the most interesting thing about this potentially is that Ubisoft announcement. Part of this is they're going to have like their own channel where their games are going to be on, including Valhalla and Watch Dogs Legion was on there. So new shit.
Yeah.
So depending like that, but that's going to be a separate subscription. That's going to be extra money on there. That's the kicker. Yeah. But it's also depending how it is and like how quick it's like. Could that be worth it? Like let's say it's like $10 a month for that. If I'm looking at Watch Dogs Legion and this runs well, I could do that for a month or two and play Watch Dogs for a third of the price.
If you could do the Xbox Game Pass thing, where in Game Pass there's really no penalty for you just subscribing for a month and then piecing out.
Yeah.
If it works that way, then it might be a no-brainer to do it like that, you know.
Yeah.
But again, that doesn't really help them in the longevity. It's like, it's very interesting. Like, I really like, it's obvious this is heating up in between Stadia, this, and like xCloud and everything, and just Game Pass in general as far as subscription services. Like, this is happening. Like, some elements of this is gonna stick. Like, Game Pass is gonna stick. I think we know Game Pass is gonna stick. But it's like, where else does this go? And it's we kind of have nothing to really firmly compare it to. We have Netflix and Hulu and streaming stuff like that to kind of compare it to. And Game Pass is doing kind of a similar thing that Netflix did, where like Netflix just kind of made everything so cheap that like you had to come to Netflix and everyone was going to come to Netflix. And then they started making it more expensive. And then they started making their own original programming. So like, I don't know, you get lost in the weeds of this metaphor at some point. I don't know. It's interesting. Like, I think Game Pass has a pretty like strong foothold, but like I could see a world where this Luna thing takes off as a competitor. I could see a world where it just completely fades away and we forget it ever existed. I don't really know. It's kind of, I don't feel super confident in the whole streaming or subscription future to see which of the spaghetti is going to stick to the wall, which is going to, you know.
Yeah, it's hard to tell right now. Like, we talked about, I think the streaming stuff is going to stick at some point. Whether it does it now with these services in particular, who the hell knows? And again, with subscription services, like once there's enough of them, I think Game Pass is early, like you're saying, early enough to supplant itself as the one and is growing big enough.
It kind of feels like they can't all succeed.
Yeah.
Because at some point, and I'm sure like the more I talked about, I mean, I said like maybe Luna or whatever, maybe I would do that. Honestly, like me and you, if we're going to use any streaming service, it's going to be xCloud because we're already on Game Pass.
Yeah.
And it comes with it. Mm-hmm. So it's like, honestly think that's probably going to be another way that Xbox kind of just like pulls away with this, is because they're tying those two things together. So it'll just be like, well, I already have Game Pass. I can play those Game Pass games on my PC, but I can also stream them. I have options, you know, and that's...
And it's really depends how they build this list. Like, as of right now with xCloud, we know, we're going to get all Bethesda games now on there. Mm-hmm. With this, it's like, okay, because they haven't explained how it's going to work. I guess we will get Ubisoft games on here when they come out, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe
but how much is that? How much extra is that going to cost? Because Well, even like the price of the current subscription is $5.99. That's the early, that's the preview pass.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So that's
I'm sure it's going to be $10 at least.
By the way, Darian, I'm sorry. RIP your $5 Game Pass on PC.
Oh, sad. Is it going up?
Yeah, because it's out of the early access preview, whatever the hell it is. So it's like $10.
Sadness.
I'm sure you'll be able to do it, Darian.
I couldn't come up with a sad song. I'm just sad. Just love you. Sad. It's still a very good deal.
Yep.
Well, all right, Jeff.
Let's see if we can insert Game Pass talking to the rest of these stories.
And turn the air down while you just lose yourself in Japan and
TGS happened, or TGS Online, or whatever the fuck they called it. I can't remember. Where there are a bunch of panels and events and things. I say that. Not too many people hyped up TGS Derby. Not many people at all. There are a couple like games and studios like, okay, we're gonna have shit here, and they did. Some of them were a little more disappointing than others. The ones that I had hoped, and most of them came through, in my opinion. So let's go through some of that shit.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Well, I will say one of them I was kind of looking forward to, but I have not looked into what's the thing, and I don't think there's any like crazy new information. It's just really gameplay. It's Monster Hunter Rise, which is good to see actual just full-length gameplay. It looks like, but
we did see a good bit of it in that reveal. So,
but first thing is first. Nier Replicant version 1.22474487139, and a continuance will be going on or whatever, will be released in Europe and North America for PS4, Xbox One, and PC via Steam on April 23rd, 2021.
Please tell me that is the official name of the game.
That is the official name.
Official name. Like if you buy it digital, it's gonna have like.
I believe so. Yes.
Hell yeah.
I'd be surprised if it didn't. So yeah, that is happening. Nier Replicant got delayed into next year. I'm not too surprised because we haven't heard about it up to this point, and with COVID and stuff going, I was like, okay, take your time.
Yeah, but you saw it, gameplay.
Yes. We did see gameplay. They didn't go crazy into showing a lot of stuff, just some combat, which was people's biggest question, because from what I've heard from fans of the original Nier, is that the combat was not great.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't really know how the original Nier looks, but yeah, this thing, and I think you even said it, it looks a lot more like Automata.
Yes. Which
is good, in my opinion. It looks like there's a bunch of other crazy stuff going on. I'm sure they'll make it different.
Yeah.
And all that, but...
Yeah, to me, just at a glance, I mean, it didn't look like quite as good as like visually, like the world and everything as Nier Automata or like a modern game, but it certainly looked modern enough,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's somewhere in between a remaster, remake looking probably, but probably way more towards a remake. I mean, it looks good, visual design wise.
Yeah,
and then the combat did just like from just the very quick eye test for someone who didn't play either of these games, it looked Automata-esque as far as like the flashy action.
Yeah. Whoop whoop. So yeah, that's all very exciting. I'm very curious what in the world they're going to do. It's because they kind of hit at news story stuff. We know, at least in Japan, I got to imagine in some English, that 2B and 9S's voice actors are going to be involved in some way. So who knows what the
crossover?
Who knows what the fuck Yokotaro is going to do with that? So that's all very exciting.
Does this one take place like before Automata, like in the same world, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I can't remember how much of a spoiler that is for Automata, but yes.
Kind of.
Well, actually, it doesn't really matter too much. So yes, it is way before Automata. That is very clear.
Excited to see what Mr. Jacob Hamill thinks about all this.
Yep, and also something they added on: Nier Automata has sold 4.885 million copies.
So bizarre. Never would have guessed that.
Nope. Good for Ed.
I doubt Square could have guessed that either.
Nope. But yeah, I'm excited.
Now, what else is going to sell multiple million copies?
Hyrule Warriors: Age of Calamity. They said it with the announced thing. They were going to have a showcase. They did. They showed some shit. So let's get into
sounds like a lot of shit. I didn't watch it.
Look, a bit of gameplay.
Like
yes, we got a good bit of gameplay. They announced that young Impa is going to be playable. Because, Darby, I don't know if you remember, Impa in Breath of the Wild, very old lady.
Very old.
And hot. Like a foot tall.
Yes.
Because, Japan, so they shrink. Like, to comical degrees.
Yeah. What if that actually happened? What if when you got old, you just got, really, really the size of a little kid, yeah?
Yeah. According to Japan, that's how it works. So yeah,
and you're also ancient at age 30, and your nose bleeds every time you're around and attractive.
And that doesn't happen to you?
I really want to know where that comes from because
I don't know.
Anyway.
Some dumb legend or something. I don't know. So yeah, we got to see playable Impa. She got to do some crazy shit. She's a ninja. She froze
it's clones of herself.
She makes a lot of clones. I don't know how exactly that works because at some points there's a different number of clones. At one point, she jumped up and used the hang glider to kind of fly, and then about 10 clones came out and they're just all flying and dropping shit.
What the fuck? She's Naruto.
Pretty much. So a bunch of all crazy shit going on. It looked fun. A lot of this information and translation I got from Push Dustin on Twitter. Good follow. He noticed something from one of the conversations in the middle of the game that Pura, I don't know if you remember who that is, Darby.
Don't.
It is Impa's sister, the little kid scientist that she messed up an experiment and became really young.
Gotcha.
Was talked about. She was obviously there. So I could see her being playable as well. They gotta fill up this roster somehow.
They're gonna be searching for playable.
Yeah, and for Breath of the Wild fans, stuff like that is good. It's okay, we have these characters here. We can pretty much do what we want with them, and as long as we fit into the story that the Zelda team's making us do, this could work.
Make Beetle playable, you cowards.
Yes, make Beetle. And I'm trying to remember his Cass's teacher potentially could be
the guy that you just saw around the world.
The blue bird dude. Yeah. Cass's teacher could potentially be. Who knows?
Yeah.
May see him.
Yeah,
be fun. Let's see. They went into how the Sheikah Slate kind of works because when it was first announced, we saw screenshots and the little gameplay we saw in those trailers. It made it look like that maybe Zelda's moveset was pretty much just the Sheikah Slate and no one had them. No one else had it. And the runes involved with them. Turns out everyone can use the Sheikah Slate and use the runes. But the fun thing is each character uses the runes differently. I'm sure there'll be varying degrees of how different depending on the character. There might be a little bit of overlap, but what they showed so far, it's a pretty big difference. I know I've told you these examples already, but the ice block or whatever, Link uses it to jump up and all that kind of stuff. You can also use it. I saw in a gameplay thing as a reaction when goblins come rushing with your spear. Just raise it up in front of you and they knock into it.
Nice.
That's cool. But Impa raises it in or brings it out and just kind of makes it move forward and jumps on it and kind of rides it and runs people.
That's awesome. So it's everyone has the same abilities. They just use it in different ways.
Another example is Magnesis. Link uses it we all used it in Breath of the Wild, just grabbing a steel box and just using it to sling against people. Impa uses it to grab a bunch of weapons and make a giant sword to slam on people. That's cool. So all that kind of stuff is great. Let's see here. And honestly, it makes me more excited as to a variety to these characters. A lot of crazy shit will happen, obviously, with these characters. The movesets will be cool and flashy, but maybe strategic purposes, they'll be kind of different. And as I watched it, it became more clear. Oh, they're not just doing that. They're inserting more Breath of the Wild shit in there. For example, opened a box, found an apple or whatever, and I can't remember the line of dialogue someone noticed, but it made it sound like Cookie might be involved. That's cool. Probably won't be able to do it in the middle of the battle, but outside of it, you can maybe do something. Yeah. You can use the glider. You can jump off things and kind of glide across the battlefield which is dope. Also, you can ride that shield.
Yeah, I'm wondering how much of the inputs is there going to be muscle memory inputs that you have in Breath of the Wild that you do in this game too? Is there things like shield or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of a weird thing because it like is obviously in the Breath of the Wild engine and the sound cues and a lot of like even watching that like trailer in the background while I was doing something else or whatever, like it has a lot of the Breath of the Wild cues. So it's like weird. I wonder if there's going to be how much is it going to feel like Breath of the Wild? It's like,
I'm very curious too. This like gets me so excited about it.
Or is some of your button inputs to do like some of these runes and everything, is it going to be like similar?
Yeah,
button inputs to like what you do in Breath. I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah. Then they showed Link has a lance as a second weapon. Does a little step with that. You can pick up weapons from enemies, like those wizard guys, like the fire rod and stuff. Everyone can grab them, and they hold a different like.
That's another Breath of the Wild thing. He's like, yeah,
Daruk, and they have weapon durability. Daruk uses like a toothpick, like he's holding a toothpick.
That sounds good.
So that's all fun and something cool. The tidbit they threw in this. They said the Zelda team worked with Koei Tecmo to make the battle maps as accurate to Breath of the Wild's map as it could.
Nice.
So it's like when you're running around it, it's like you're running around Breath of the Wild's map, just during an epic battle.
Cool dynamic, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's see here. And I think this might have been mentioned when we talked about its announcement. Or actually, Koei Tecmo figured they were done with the Hyrule Warriors series after they were done because it was like a big celebration of Zelda, and even fans like me were like, where can they go from here? Because they pretty much had all the Zeldas and pretty much most of the major characters represented in this game and playable. Koei Tecmo apparently agreed, but then Anuma came up to them with this idea, and they're like, okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Also, they showed another trailer to kind of show some story stuff. Also get me excited. I think they kind of said this, might have confirmed this when they first announced the game. This game is not necessarily just showing the calamity and the battles and stuff. You're actually recruiting the champions. Like, it starts before they're all the champions, but you're going through to each place and recruiting them.
Get their origin story.
Yeah.
Nice.
And they show Urbosa, you meeting her, and she has like the crown of her people. Like, you know, she's the queen and all that.
Nice.
Because the sub speculators like, so to become a champion, does she got to give up a crown? Is that what's going on? That kind of thing.
Story arcs.
Yep, story arcs. This is going to have so much more story than Breath of the Wild by being a much longer game.
Very interesting. Yeah. I hope they handled that well.
Yeah. Again, the good thing is here with this, the Zelda team's pretty much writing the story and the dialogue and all that kind of stuff. So this is easily the most excited I've ever been for a Musou game.
I feel like a lot of people probably share this.
Yeah, I am very excited for this game, which is what will come out like the day or whatever after Cyberpunk.
It looks like they're doing everything right. For what this game is, 100%. Like, yeah. If you're into Musos, this seems like into Musos and into Breath of the Wild. This seems like heaven.
I'm very curious to see people who don't have much experience with Muso but just love Zelda and Breath of the Wild, who passed in Hyrule Warriors because it was just a dumb crossover thing, which is fun, but you know, not as good people. But the fact is, the can is obviously getting some people in. I'm curious how those people feel about it. It's like, oh, this Muso stuff's actually not too bad.
I feel there's gonna be a sizable number of new people who this is their first Muso.
It's probably be the best selling Muso. I don't know.
I would think so, but I don't know. I don't know if
there's probably some like older Dynasty Warriors that sold like an insane amount of copies compared to the rest of the franchise.
I don't know.
I'm so glad it's looking much better than Fire Emblem Warriors, which I didn't play, but just everything I saw and looked at, I was like, man, this is disappointing. Okay. Resident Evil is also at TGS. We knew it was going to be at TGS. And I just want to say, what the fuck, Capcom? You announced this thing in June, like, more information in August. August ends. It's like, where's the information? Like, we're going to have it in September. PlayStation event comes around. There's a new trailer. Some new stuff.
Some Tim Burton.
Yeah, some of that stuff. It's like, not too much. Not enough you'd think with the way they are hyping it up. It's like, we're going to be at TGS. And then TGS comes around. They do a little presentation thing. Where they show up the character models for Chris and Ethan. That's mainly...
Whenever you show it off character models, that's when you know that you don't really actually have...
It's like, we have another presentation tomorrow. Then they just did the same thing again.
You can only do this so many times.
Yeah, it's like, show me some gameplay or something. But we got some other information in there besides that of the disappointment. RE8 might be getting current gen versions. I don't know. Capcom.
No one knows anything anymore. It's like
it's like Capcom. You know if you were going to get PS4 and Xbox One versions or not.
They won't tell you until it's just out.
Honestly, it probably may have something to do with Sony being a bitch and trying to hide all their like saying all this stuff's next gen only, and then it's like, oh, but it's also going to be
actually
doing too much shit. I feel like half the games are now this next gen only, and that Sony thing have come out to be like, oh, it's actually going to be on current gen. Weird. Yeah. This game will have a much greater focus on exploration. Talking about the village, and it's like, you think village is going to be pretty small, but it's actually going to feel pretty big and all that kind of stuff.
7 was pretty linear, right?
I mean, you explore around the house, it's all puzzles and stuff, but generally, yeah. But apparently this is going to be like, I guess, a bigger area where you're kind of exploring all that kind of stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird because, like, really overall, we know the tone of this game, but we really don't know what the actual game.
I know. I wanted to see gameplay here. I don't think that's too much to ask.
Yeah, we just don't really know what you're actually doing in this game, and we can kind of make assumptions based off of 7, but you don't really actually.
Like, we know this is first person. That's about the extent of it.
Yeah.
Because in the character model for Ethan, they did the little shadow thing over his face, so we don't actually see his face. We don't know what Ethan looks like.
So you literally just saw his torso and legs?
No. They showed his head, but they like blacked out his face.
Wait, did we ever see his face in 7? Do we
no,
know? We don't know what he looks like.
We don't know what this fucker looks like.
Yeah, do you feel really emotionally connected to Ethan? This man that you
I like Ethan more than most people. That's all I'll say. Yeah, but also. They announced, not technically at TGS, but it's related to Resident Evil, so I'm just throwing it in here. A little CG film or series thing. It was very confusing at first. Resident Evil Infinite Darkness. It's coming to Netflix next year. Darkness. Just a little CG trailer of Claire and Leon doing things, maybe shooting a couple of zombies, things like, cool. I'll probably watch it.
I probably won't.
Cool.
And that's Resident Evil for you.
Resident Evil now. I'll enjoy the content. Darby's like,
and Darby is here too.
Yep. But now, Darby, we can do what I do in a lot of series, and me just explain lore at you.
Yes, please. I love this. I love having lore explained at me. That Danganronpa is still one of my favorite videos we've ever done.
It's a good video.
It's a good video.
A lot of it's rambling nonsense, but it was an enjoyable time.
It was very enjoyable.
Yep. So Dari, this morning we got a little Pokemon presentation. Not a direct though. They made it clear not to say like direct or however they announced.
Use their wording carefully.
Yep. To not get your hopes up too much. Pretty much saying they announced it yesterday. They
announced the Pokemon RPG made by CD Projekt Red. Right?
Yes. Big. Darby, we would like if that legitimately happened. We would not even wear out the intro. We just go straight into it.
Just like start screaming. We open the podcast just by screaming for like 5 minutes.
Yeah. So yeah, they said they're going to talk about Crown Tundra DLC, which we knew was coming soon, all that kind of stuff. So they went over that a little bit. They announced Crown Tundra coming out October 22nd. And during this little trailer, they showed a little around the area, showed the old new Pokemon you can catch. Yeah. And all that kind of fun stuff. As well as a couple other things. The Dynamax adventures you can do. Where it is... Well, they hinted at this, where you're going into like caves and stuff. People are disappointed. It's not a 3D thing. It's like you're like just clicking which path to take and that stuff. And then you go into a max raid battle. The interesting thing that most people are disappointed at that I'm actually kind of excited about because I enjoy this stuff. You're getting rental Pokemon and going through this.
So you rent like high level Pokemon you just use.
Or necessarily, I don't know like what level they'll be, but you just rent Pokemon with pre-made movesets and stuff. That they had a thing called the Battle Frontier and Pokemon Emerald, where you do that. I just love that shit. Like just getting random Pokemon and battling with them.
So just so it's random, like you don't know what it's gonna be.
I'm not sure exactly how it's gonna work. I don't know if it's like completely random or they just give you. I think some of how it worked is you just got a random allotment of Pokemon and you just pick out of those.
That sounds cool though. It could force you to use something different.
Yeah, so the problem is with this for me is because of their max raid battles, they want you to do it with 3 friends or 3 people, random people. I hate that shit.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it.
Get people out of here.
That means I have to do it with the NPCs, and the NPCs are dumb. They're just stupid. They use the dumbest Pokemon. Why are you using a fucking Magikarp? I hate you. But
yeah,
it looks,
max raid battle seems like a swing and a miss.
Yeah, but the thing is with these, Darby, they are the way you catch the legendary Pokemon, which they confirmed every single legendary Pokemon from the series is in this DLC. Like, if you want all those good Pokemon for competitive,
there, sell your soul to the max raid battle.
Yep, so all that kind of stuff. I mean, the idea of it's cool and all that. I'm gonna mess around with it at least a little bit. We'll see how far I get, depending on how annoying the AI partners are, which is going to probably be very annoying.
Yeah.
So yeah. But the thing is that I think is kind of exciting, and the timing of all this is very good for what we decided on last night. Is the Galarian Star Tournament. So once you get to a certain point through Crown Tundra, you get invited by Leon to do a tournament where it is double battles. You get to select your partner from any of the gym leaders and rivals to be your partner and battle an allotment of other leaders and stuff.
Me and Ghost.
You could double up and have, or mix it up, or do something else. So, Dari, the good thing is, if as I mentioned, it comes out October 22nd.
No.
I have time to get through that to that point.
It was never actually said the thing that we were talking about for our Halloween stream.
Yeah,
doing my Pokemon Ghost Trainer run thing.
Yeah,
just straight on through. I never edited that video. I never put that video out. Of me choosing the ghost Pokemon. Whoops. Okay.
Well,
you'll see that soon.
Yeah. Technically, it doesn't happen for a month, so you're good.
Whoops. So I just kind of forgot about that, to be honest.
So I saw this like, well, that's good for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That will be good.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a good way to... We still didn't know what we wanted to do with the ghost thing, right? Or
you could re-challenge or do a tournament in the Pokemon League. But this one sounds more fun and exciting.
Yep. Sounds good to me.
Yep. So we'll do that. They also announced Galarian Slowking and showed that up there. Let me show you this boy.
All right. I do like Slowking. I feel a spiritual connection with him.
Look at this fucker.
Ooh, boy.
Let me try.
He's freaky looking.
God, show me a good picture. I hate you. Yep. There we go. Look at that, man.
Ooh, he's spoopy.
Yep. Like Galarian Slowbro, he is also psychic and poison.
Dope.
Yep. People don't seem to like his design, and I'm like, what is wrong with you guys?
People are just very weirdly picky about their Pokemon design.
Yeah, it's weird. There's some people that literally believe there's only been a handful of good designs since Gen 1. I'm like, you fuckers are crazy.
Just like live a little, man. Yeah. Just like fucking have some fun, fucking have an anchor that's alive. It's a ghost anchor.
Also, I don't know all the information of this, but people are upset about this. I think there's some kind of weird thing going on with it. You can now transfer Pokemon from Pokemon Go to Pokemon Home. Which is the app to keep Pokemon and transfer a bunch of shit.
It's probably going to be a way to get a bunch of really good Pokemon.
No. The thing people have said about is apparently there's some cost involved to transferring Pokemon from one thing to the other. I don't know the things for
real
that.
Money cost.
Well, coins, but yes, you can use that money to get that currency. But you can earn it from other means. And that's not good. Yeah. I think it might be from getting it to go to home. Might be like you gotta get the currency within Go.
But what do you have to do? The Pokemon go to the polls.
This has been the Nerds of Lars game. So unfortunately with this, they didn't show much to get me extra excited for Crown Tundra. Like the tournament thing's cool and all that.
Chomping it a bit.
Yeah, but at the same time they showed some of the settings like with the Isle of Armor. I'm gonna have fun exploring this for a little while. And catching Pokemon, the Pokemon, all that kind of stuff, and just exploring this world and hoping like Isle of Armor was a step up from the Wild era to more what I wanted. I'm hoping, because it kind of looks this way, this is more of a step up from the Isle of Armor into the open world Pokemon thing with things going on.
So it seems like this the Pokemon Sword and Shield just the entire mantra is, I'm not overly excited, but I am excited. I want this, but it's never,
yeah.
Very incremental upgrades.
But let's talk about something that's definitely positive about this, because at the end of this presentation, they showed off the music video.
Yeah.
Which I had Darby watch right before this.
I think it was dope.
Yep. Yeah, if you haven't seen it, like, even if you don't care, I want to go look at it. It is awesome animation.
It was made by, who was it made by?
Studio Bone, who, if you're an anime dork, like Full Metal Alchemist, My Hero Academia, Mob Psycho, all that kind of stuff.
And you can tell. I mean, like, a lot of work went into that thing. The animation.
Yeah, it's just kind of like a love fest for at least 20 years of Pokemon, just showing stuff from across the generations and amazing animation.
I even had the nostalgia for it, and it was like I felt like I should be having nostalgia feelings. Like, it was that powerful. I'm sure for you that was a trip.
Unfortunately, there were some people that, especially the time that was happening, like, thought this might have been leading to an announcement of a new anime series by them, which would be the best thing ever. But
I kind of thought that when I was looking through
man, that'd be the dream.
I was like, this was a lot of effort,
and it's one of those things. It was like, man, just the potential of Pokemon if you put it in some other people's hands. With that said, though, the Pokemon anime is not bad. It's obviously for, like, it's good for a kids show and does what it needs to well, and it is enjoyable enough. But if they wanted to make a more adult, not even like full on adult, but just maybe more when adults could potentially get into more, they could, and it could be great.
Yeah.
So, So, Darby, we want to talk about that there Game Awards?
I do. I haven't actually read what you have here, so I have no clue what we're about to talk about, to be honest. But I'm excited.
Let's go from Matt from IGN. Not really too much. The Game Awards are set to return this year on December 10th. Because of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, there will not be a live audience this year. But host Jeff Keighley announced this year's awards show will be hosted from 3 international locations: LA, London, and Tokyo.
Interesting.
So yeah, that's obviously the main thing, the dates announced and the fact that it's going to be live streamed from 3 different locations. Jeff's obviously going to be in LA. I have no idea what they're doing in London and Tokyo.
They'll just have different hosts and maybe like interviews or something for people in different locations.
Makes me feel good with potential Japanese announcements for this thing.
Yeah.
I guess the good news about this, I guess it depends on what he does with the timing. The pacing could potentially be better because not people awkwardly walking up and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But
they could have a bunch of Zoom calls, prepackaged things that take forever. It's like
Well, let's just see how this goes.
Tales of Arise Blowout. Damn it.
Yeah. So I do got a thing that I'm going to kind of wish happened here, but didn't. The show is on December 10th, which pretty much lines up with the dates they've had for years past. Right. I wish they'd stop. I wish they would do it the beginning of the year, because the date's going to arbitrarily be mid-November, which arguably could mean Cyberpunk's out.
Yeah.
Hyrule Warriors could be out. All these next-gen games could possibly be out. Or potentially people don't have time to play these games because the week that it could potentially be, like, I could see Jeff, because, he decides the dates, making it so Cyberpunk's eligible and therefore everything before it be eligible, but not people aren't going to have time to play it.
Yeah, it has to be pretty damn close to the Cyberpunk, even if he pushes it out for Cyberpunk.
And the next gen stuff, which means a bunch of people will be playing a bunch of new shit, like it's all coming at once.
I mean, the answer is this thing is not really about the awards; it's about the marketing, and the marketing for whatever. I mean, obviously, there's some reason everything happens in November and December and not January, like, even though it's weird because most of the things being announced here are not like things that you can go buy right now. So it seems like you should be able to do it in January. But for an actual award show, it makes so much more sense for it to be in January and February. And obviously the Oscars does that, but the Oscars is also not like playing movie trailers and stuff left and right. So I don't know. But, I mean, objectively, for an award show, December really makes no sense. Because the fall is kind of like you're saying, when a lot of big games come out. Or the holiday area.
Yeah. Like, Immortals is not going to be eligible. Like, I'm not saying that necessarily win awards, but it's just like, that's a big Ubisoft game, and it's just not going to be here for arbitrary reasons.
And you just end up getting a situation like, Smash won Best Fighting Game. like for the year after it came out.
Literally almost exactly a year after it came out.
And like Sakurai was like, wait a minute, why did we win this? The game came out last year, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. And because everyone else is going to do their personal game of the years like us and all the sites and everything, and they're going to, do it considering everything. But then Game Awards has its weird arbitrary, cutoffs. So some things are included for it, but not included. It's very kind of weird and dumb.
Yeah. Okay.
But what can you do?
Yeah.
But I'm excited for the old Keelys. I hope he has some more hits. It's weird how much a year can change things. I kind of hope he has updates on all those League of Legends games that he announced.
Yeah. A year can change things. Darby, ready to go to the rumor mill?
Strap in. Let's open the dusty door, walk into the mill. What we got in here? A bunch of cows.
Yeah. So, Darby, you see me talking about rumors, and you think I'm probably about to bring up Smash.
Yeah, I mean, that does seem on brand for you.
But I'm not.
A Nintendo Direct. That is also on.
It's not related to Nintendo. This game is on the Nintendo Switch.
Oh, thank Jesus. Thank Christ.
It's about Mortal Kombat 11.
Okay. Well, okay.
Okay, so people been data mining. Ed Boon be hinting at shit.
Okay.
There might be another character pass. And people be data mining and think they might know 3 out of the 4 characters. So, let me go down them and let's see your reaction.
Grookey.
Yes. There's a guest character. Because of course.
Geralt of Rivia.
I might have you guess the guest character for fun.
Okay.
But they're 2 veterans. The first one,
Melina.
That is one of
that
them.
Figured. Hell yeah, bring back the ball roll.
The toxic fan base won.
Let's do it.
I will say, Melina fans have been a little much.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I figured, that'd make you happy.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. She was definitely my main in X. I hate that they've gotten me to call it X now. In 10, she was my main. I doubt anyone's going to beat Jade because it's just such a good moveset, but
the other veteran
Striker.
That would be very bad right now.
I would laugh so freaking hard.
Rain.
Okay, yeah, Rain's good. Yeah.
Rain's a weird one because you fought against him in X.
Yeah.
And I don't think they ever added him as DLC.
Was he never DLC at all?
No, and obviously not playable in 11.
Mortal Kombat will do that shit sometimes. It's very obnoxious.
And Derby.
Yeah, I like Rain. All right, so is it a movie character?
Yes.
They don't have many left. That's the thing. They really don't have many left.
Think like the 80s action stuff.
Bad Boys. God, everything I can think of. It's Bruce Willis from Die Hard.
No.
I don't know what is it.
Rambo.
What? Yes, of course it is. Of course. Oh my God, this is fucking great.
That was, people were a little less sure about.
RoboCop versus Rambo.
Arnold
versus Terminator. Just go ahead, add in the Xenomorph again.
Actually, I saw some people upset about this because another guest character and not Reptile. I never knew there were so many Reptile fans, I'm being honest.
I kind of forgot Reptile was in the game, but yeah. It's fucking Rambo. Come on, dude. It's so bad.
I will say the thing is that's kind of upsetting with these movie characters, just from someone who's not really actively playing the game or anything, is with these movie characters, they're kind of samey as far as their moveset potential. A lot of these are just action guys with guns.
They are. I mean, for what I think, I haven't actually played RoboCop yet, and people said it's not the most fun, crazy moveset. It's kind of, but it's certainly Mortal Kombat is going for just the wackiness that this is happening. Period, which I can respect.
I mean, they're obviously doing this because as much as people are upset about it not being veteran characters like kind of I was with DC characters sometimes when Injustice is these guest characters sell.
I mean, just like in Injustice, you're upset about it, but those characters would sell more than the DC characters.
Again, I gotta bring up, I was okay with the Turtles and Hellboy. Yeah. So I wasn't against guest characters. It was just the Mortal Kombat characters.
It was just the boring characters you could just always assume.
Yeah. So yeah. So how do you feel about all that?
Yeah, that's pretty dope. I really need to jump back in because I think I got the pass before, so I think I have all the characters. I need to jump back in.
Well, you don't have the newest characters that were in Aftermath.
Oh, right. Yeah, don't have those. So that was like Shiva and stuff, right?
Yeah.
I forgot who else. I don't know. Was Smoke in here?
No, RoboCop you don't have. Raiden's brother. I'm forgetting the name of. Yeah. Anyway,
but no, that sounds awesome. Ram. Oh yeah, I can't wait to just like tell my brother-in-law. It's like, yeah, they put in RoboCop, put in Terminator. You thought that was cool? They put in fucking Rambo. What the fuck's going on?
And this stuff not confirmed.
It's just goofy, and I like it. I like what they're going for.
Time for other news.
Other news.
Okay, we got 3 different things here. Crash 4, it's about time, is getting a multiplayer mode. Competitive and cooperative, Darby. We could battle each other in Crash.
I'll be so bad, and I would love to see you go online, just see how horrible you get our shit stomped.
Oh yeah, baby. I don't know if this is an online thing though. It might just be local
for years.
Yeah. Yeah. So they do a little race thing. Like one of the competitive ones, this could be fun, is a race thing where you're going through a level, and it's not about who finished the level first. It's who wins the most checkpoints. So like. Each checkpoint is like a different rounds, and who wins the most rounds at the end is the winner.
Okay. So it's still kind of a race, right?
It's not like a race to see who gets done the overall team. Like if you stop at one place and take like 5 minutes and me a minute, and your overall time would technically be more, but you beat me in the other checkpoints, you would still win.
So it's kind of a race. It's just like broken up into rounds.
Into rounds.
Okay,
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Nintendo shadow dropped a game. Kirby. Kirby Fighters 2. It leaked, and then later that day it got shadow dropped. Officially announced as shadow dropped onto the eShop. $20.
Yeah. So that was no like presentation or anything, right? That was just kind of like. Boop.
The trailers is like a presentation in itself, really. It's like a 6-minute overview thing.
Yeah.
So it's a Smash Player style thing where the majority of the characters are Kirby. Yeah. Just in different transformations, which, not a bad way, I guess, to use that.
Interesting that's...
Admittedly, as someone who, I haven't really played Kirby games much in recent years, but I did play a lot of it when I was younger. Like, Kirby has a lot of cool characters besides, Kirby, Meta Knight, and DDD. It's like, you could make a kind of small fighting game with the actual Kirby cast.
Yeah.
Have a decent, unique-looking roster. But it's a shame they didn't really go completely that route.
Yeah.
But I will say this. I'll call it Nintendo a little bit. And say, poor Rivals of the Ether. The day this game was shadow dropped, Rivals of the Ether lost on the Switch. And Nintendo didn't really promote it, but launched their own Smash-like.
But they're like, yeah, thanks, Nintendo.
No, literally they did. That's how I remembered. I saw someone retweet the creator of Evil be like, yeah, thanks.
That sucks.
Yeah. And speaking of Ether, you can probably look forward to us streaming it on our Halloween stream.
Embrace the memes.
Because that one's a top priority with me trying to for us to play that one, Darby. I know we're gonna have to drop some games, but I want that one to be in.
The memes, dude.
Yes, the memes.
Speaking of the memes,
Among Us. We haven't talked about it on this show, but it has blown up. A 2-year-old game. Just suddenly out of nowhere, blow up. Every streamer is playing it. Everyone's playing it. I can't remember the numbers. Some crazy numbers for it. I think something about download like 100 million times or something. Because it's on mobile and all that shit.
Yeah.
I don't know. Point is craziness. The devs, very small dev team, completely overwhelmed.
Sure.
But they announced, I think, a while ago and reiterated it like a week ago that there's going to be a sequel to this game. But then they announced this past week that Among Us 1 is doing so well, they're canceling the sequel. It's just a funny headline, but it's the truth.
It's a weird thing to happen, but it makes sense, honestly.
Yeah. They're pretty much saying because it's doing so well, they don't want to split the player base. And said it's going to be hard, but we're going to try to put all the ideas we had from Among Us 2 into the current Among Us and update it.
Interesting. Very interesting. I mean, I don't envy that team having to, suddenly change course, but at the same time they're obviously
they're raking in the money right now.
Great.
I mean, it's just $5, but they're selling millions of copies.
Oh yeah, no, I'm sure they went from probably just some guys living in a modest apartment to be like, what the fuck? What's going on? Oh shit.
Yeah. So good for them. I want to play this at some point.
Yes, absolutely.
I've been watching a lot of YouTube video streams.
Unfortunately, it just seems
one.
like it's just not going to be super fun unless you have a lot of people, which we will on our Halloween stream. So look forward to that. That will probably be the first time we're able to actually really play.
Yeah, it's one of those things from seeing it. I don't actually know how games go when you just use the in-game chat. Because everyone I've been seeing playing it uses Discord, which is how we obviously would want to play it.
Yeah.
Definitely adds to it.
We'll definitely do the drop out of Mike when you die.
Yeah.
Type thing.
Yeah. So, yeah. That is our podcast.
That is a podcast. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, Halloween, twitch.tv/nerds@largegaming. We're going to have quite a few internet friends. Me and Jeff are going to have costumes. We're going to stream pretty much all day. I think we're looking to do like a noon to midnight type deal. And lots of good games we have on the docket. You've heard a few here today. Once I get it kind of more finalized, I will put out a list of the games we're going to play. It's going to be fun. I am so stoked. It's definitely the biggest thing we've done as a channel as far as just we're going to be on camera a long time. But it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yep.
All right. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. Check out, we'll be back in your feed, hopefully normal time on Monday next week. But until then, go be a good person.